Welcome back. In this video, dual to cooperative federalism, the transition. So we're going to go through how the federal government has gained more power, and the main answer is going to be money. So we were talking about first the very broad category of grants and aid, and then you see you're going to do some very specific ones momentarily. Grants and aid refers to federal money given to the states. Here's the key, is it allows the federal government to aid, but also to influence states. So the idea is the federal government has some money and they give it to the states for them to use, but the federal, what's in it for them? That's what we're going to discuss. All right, so one of the types of grants, and now we have specific examples, is categorical grants. This is when the federal government gives money to the states for a specific purpose. About 90% of federal money that they give to the states is in the form of categorical grants. Usually this is preferred by the federal government and Congress. Why? Well, because they get to tell the states exactly what they got to do with the money. So they give them the money and they tell them, this is what you have to do with this money. This is money for textbooks, for Broward County High School textbooks, public schools. Tell them exactly what to do with that money. Categorical grant. Along with categorical grants, there's two things that are here sort of under the umbrella. Conditions of aid definitely is. Funded and unfunded mandates, not so much. Conditions of aid, these are the strings attached, so to speak. Really, it's what states must do to receive money. Technically, this is optional. So that reason that you got that idea of McLovin there, what happened is, did you know the drinking age used to be 18 in the state of Florida? Until the mid-'80s, when Ronald Reagan decided that he wanted there to be a national drinking age of 21. However, that is not a state power. That is something that is a state power. It does not belong to the federal government to do. So how can they make the drinking age 21? Because today the drinking age is 21 everywhere in the United States. Well, what they did was they made it into a condition of aid. They said, if states want to keep receiving money for transportation, categorical grant, then they have to do this thing. And this thing was raise your drinking age. So they made it a condition of aid. You must raise your drinking age if you want to get this money. So that's a condition of aid. Technically, the states can say no, but realistically, they want to get that paper. So they're going to usually say yes. Separately from this is funded and unfunded mandates. These are rules of what states must do. This is not optional, and they may not receive money. If it's an unfunded mandate, they are not actually getting any money. Even if it's a funded mandate, it's not optional. They have to do it. Your best example of an unfunded mandate is going to be the Americans with Disabilities Act. I would make a note of that if I were you. The federal government told states that they must make their buildings, their public buildings, wheelchair accessible by putting in ramps. States had to do this, and it was not paid for. It was an unfunded mandate. Obviously, states are not fans of unfunded mandates because not only are they losing power, but they also have to spend their own money on it. Block grants, states like these, federal money given to states to use within a broad purpose. So instead of saying, here's money for textbooks, like a categorical grant would do, it would say, here's money for education. And the state can use that money for whatever they want as long as it's within education. So it still has to be done within that area, so they don't have total freedom, but they have more freedom. Revenue sharing, it's odd to me of why the AP test still wants to test this, because it doesn't exist anymore. But the idea was it was federal money to states with absolutely no strings attached. States could use the money for anything that they wanted, but we do not currently have it. Today we only have categorical and block grants. From the federal perspective, why do they do it? Because they gain power by being able to make policy in areas that they don't have the authority to deal with, like the drinking age. So you can watch this graphic if you want to as it goes. It was formerly a state option what to do with the drinking age. Now it's not. Technically it still is, but through grants, the federal government was able to make policy in an area that they didn't have the ability to do so beforehand. This graphic is going too slow. What you see in the 70s is it gets really blue. There you go. It's really, really blue, and then Reagan comes, and then it's going to all one. All right, the state perspective, why do they do it? Well, they like getting the federal money because they get to use this money and they don't have to tax their citizens as much because they're receiving federal money. So they get the benefit of spending money without the pain, the cost of having to tax their people, which they don't like. However, they lose power because they have to comply with federal rules in order to get the money. So that's what that cartoon there on the right is showing. The states want the federal benefits. He has his hand out for that, but he doesn't want to put up with the federal authority, so he's trying to say no to that. Again, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that like button for me. You know I love you guys. This has been a La Money production.